Hey everyone, this is Drop the Mic Live Mic. I'm Shannon E. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want you guys to share this live right now. I am live on YouTube. I am live on Facebook. I want you guys to share this live with each and everybody that you can think of on tonight. Okay. Tonight's topic of conversation is going to be been had. Okay. Been had. All right. Um, I got this conversation basically from streaming through the internet throughout the week. I seen a post where a man basically was what I would say like glorifying a more seasoned connection with someone, right? Like if he had to choose his life partner, it would be a little bit more seasoned, okay, as opposed to something that just stepped off the porch or something that was brand new and fresh, right? um Throughout my lifetime, okay, I have definitely had conversations with people where some would have preferences where there are they would prefer someone who is a little bit more seasoned, meaning a bin had, or a little bit more, what would I call it, fresh off the porch. We just gonna name it that. We gonna name it fresh off the porch, or we gonna name it a little bit more seasoned, right? um to each his own, tomato, tomato, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it, right? However, when it comes to things being a good or bad thing, a positive or negative thing, it is a conversation that we have to think like longevity, right? We have to think longevity when it comes to a partnership. We have to think, is this something that is going to grow us? Is this something that's going to benefit us? Is this something that's going to aid us in the direction that we want to go in life, and all of those kind of things, right? So when we think of it necessarily being a quote unquote good or bad thing, we have to think of whether it is going to be seasoned or whether it's just going to be something that's just straight jumped off the porch. Okay. The conversation, I've been having some technical difficulties. I don't know if it's because it's raining. I don't know what's really going on, but my co-star on tonight is having some difficulties as well. So the conversation was supposed to be in terms of the male point of view versus the woman's point of view. Okay. A lot of times throughout my years speaking to men, I noticed that they would say things in terms of like they would rather it be someone who they can I don't want to use the word train because that sounds like a dog, but someone they would rather be able to teach, I guess, right? Someone that will conform, someone that will conform easier to the things that they need and to the things that they want. Okay, a lot of the times is more or less to the things that they want. Okay, when it comes to someone that is newly that just jumped off the porch. Okay, also I've had conversations with people who have felt like, they want a more experienced partner. Like they want someone who's been there, done it, maybe even married before, someone who has been in several relationships before, someone who is not a virgin to this thing called life, period. Okay. Uh, I really don't think that there's no wrong or right answer when it comes to this conversation. I really do think that it's preference, right? However, I really do think that there is a gain or lose when it comes to this conversation. Okay. One of the things that was brought up as a controversy in this topic, what are you doing? One of the things that was brought up as controversy in this conversation was the fact that the person didn't agree with the Ben had side of things, right? They felt like it was like feminizing men. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know what that's about. If someone knows, please write it in the comments. If someone could understand where that energy comes from, I really can't speak on that. That came from a male. I'm not a male. I don't believe in that. I don't see it that way or anything like that. However, if there is someone who can understand that point of view, I just would like for you to, write it in the comments. Okay. How would that feminize a man having a been had? So when we talk about been had, on the video that I seen, the video that he was talking about having a been had, right? Having someone who is basically like seasoned. He basically was saying someone who been having motion, right? Who been had motion, been winning, been broke, been down, been off the porch, been got it back, been did this, been did that, been outside, tired of playing, you know what I'm saying? They ready to be inside, got stability under them. They think before they speak back to you as a woman, to a man. They think before they speak back to you, but we can say that as a man to a woman as well. And they gonna be a whole bunch of problems if they are not a been had, right? Most people, I don't want to keep saying been had because that just sounds crazy, but most people who are just stepping off the porch, they have a lot of living and they have a lot of learning to do. Okay. And not only do they have a lot of living and learning to do, they have a lot of wanting to do these things, right? So if you get with somebody who's inexperienced, if you get with somebody who doesn't have much knowledge or anything, just starting off or whatever case may be, yes, you can teach them some things, right? You will teach them some things, right? You guys will have an experience, right? However, there's always going to be that little side to someone who is just jumping off the porch that wants to experience more. It's going to be an underlying energy that is going to feel like what they did not do, how they did not do it, what they want to do, what they really want to do, what is stopping them from doing it. They're always going to enter a point in their lives where they want to do something else, right? And whether they know it or not, and yes, that is a fact. It's always going to be another time. It's always going to be a time where they want to do something else. That's just what it is. Okay. And whether they know that or not, it's going to come out in behavior. Okay. It's going to come out in behavior. Regardless, it's going to come out when you make them mad. It's going to come out when you make them sad. It's going to come out on the times that's not great. It's going to come out on the times that is, it might be great. You know what I'm saying? It might come out on times that it is great. You just never know. But it's going to come out, right? Because as we live life, we always like to use the saying life be life, and life is going life, or whatever case may be. What you think people are going to do? What do you think that people are going to do? People are going to people. People are going to always be people, and people are going to want to people. Okay, we are here to experience. We are here to experience life. We are here to experience each other. We are here to be of experience. We are here to, we're just here to flourish. Like, we're just here to just manage and be, right? Until it's our time. So, to look at someone and say to yourself, well, yeah, I can like groom them, or yeah, I can kind of like do what I want to do with them, basically do what I want to do with them. And I don't mean that in a bad way, right? Because there are a lot of people who have started with someone that was very inexperienced or whatever the case may be, and glowed them up. Like they glowed up together. You understand what I'm saying? But I really feel like those situations work more than not when it's a together thing, right? It definitely can work. I'm not saying that it can't work. It works more than not when it's a together thing that you're doing. Okay, when it's an intentional thing. You guys are both inexperienced. You guys both have not lived. You guys have both not done a lot of things, right? That you guys are just working it out. Y'all working together to work it out, right? It can happen. But if there's one but then there's times where both are very inexperienced, right? And it's kind of like the blind leading the blind. It's kind of like the blind leading the blind. It really is. Okay. If we are both inexperienced, if we both don't have a lot knowledge of a lot of things, if we both are eager to do a lot of different things, right? If we both have certain type of personalities where we have optimistic, optimistic mindset on things or whatever the case is, we are both going to want the urge, and we're both going to experience things, and we're both going to be the blind leading the blind. I told you guys in past videos and things like that, like I'm all for the learning what is it called, like the learning turn or whatever the case is. Like I'm all for that, but at the end of the day, like I don't want too many setbacks. Like we're not going to keep setting ourselves back, right? We're not going to keep setting ourselves back. That's too much. Life is going to life, like we just said. We don't want to keep setting ourselves back. So at some point, somebody should be a little bit more experienced or should be a little bit more seasoned. If not both of us seasoned. Okay. A lot of the times when individuals want inexperienced people, like I don't see how as an experienced person, you like will crave for an inexperienced person. Like that gives a little weird to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't see how you like what pleasantries or pleasuries, whatever the word is, like what would make you want to like move forward with an inexperienced person, like intentionally? Like now, if you wind up just falling in love with somebody and they're just a little bit more inexperienced than you are, right? And you getting to know that as time goes on, then that's different, right? If you're willing to teach them, if you're willing to rock out with them, if you're willing to do this thing for life with them, then that's good. That's so beneficial. That's great, right? And I do agree with the fact that, and I do believe that the fact that everybody brings something to the table, period. It don't matter what it is. Everybody brings something to the table at some point in life. But if you are intentionally looking for like an inexperienced person, it's giving weird. It's giving just a little bit weird. Just a little bit. I want you guys to share this live as we go on. Continue to share this live. So, yeah. So now let's talk about the seasoned individuals. Okay, let's talk more about the seasoned individuals. We already got that out the way with the inexperienced people. Let's talk about the seasoned individuals. All right. The seasoned individuals, the Ben Hads. Okay. I can really see how somebody would want a Ben Had. Like I really could. You know what I mean? Like personally, like I would take a Ben Had over an experienced person. Okay. And let me tell you why. The Ben Hads, they still inexperienced. Okay. Like they're still inexperienced. Like everybody has something to them where they're inexperienced. However, they're just a little bit more experienced, right? And on top of that, not only the experience part will be a beneficial thing to you, right? But the willingness to learn will be even more beneficial. So that's even more important when it comes to like being a Ben Had. Like been having motion, you've been broke, you've been rich, you've been off the porch, you ready to settle down, you've been had relationships, you've been married, you've been up, you've been down, you've been in the middle, you've been around, you've been around. Like it is what it is. Like you understand what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about like been around, but you know what I'm saying? Like you've been around, like you know what's up or whatever. The beauty in that, or what I find to be the beauty in that, right, is that you know how to manage when it comes full circle. Okay. So if I'm a little bit more inexperienced than you, I know that when things get hard, right, whether I've been through it before or not, or whatever, and especially if I haven't been through it before, I know that when things get hard, I know that when things are just feeling different for me, when I really don't know how to handle certain situations or certain life curves and things like that. Like I know that I could depend on you. I know that because you may not have been through exactly this before, but you've been through something that looked like this before. I know that we can laugh together through the storm. You know what I'm saying? I know that we can still be good together through the storm. You know, I know that when certain things happen, because you've seen this before, I know that you're not going to try to manipulate my mind, right? Or manipulate my brain to make me feel like it's something other than what it is, right? Or it's something other than what I'm feeling, right? Example, if we broke, we broke. You're not going to try to manipulate my brain to feel like we doing something other than what this is, right? Because an inexperienced person looking at an experienced person, right? Or an experienced person looking at an inexperienced person, they're going to always feel, in my opinion, this is just my popular opinion, they're going to always feel like to a certain extent that they got a front. They're going to feel like to a certain extent that they have to um lie, put on a performance. And I'm not talking, and I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying that people not gonna lie. I'm not saying that people not going to do all the things that we do in this world or whatever case may be. But we're not talking about that situation right now. We're talking about this situation. We're literally talking about the Ben has versus the inexperienced people. Okay. The freshly jumping off the porch people as opposed to the beef being stewed a little bit more. You understand? Like, so you're gonna feel like you gotta lie. You're gonna feel like you can't really tell your partner that. You're gonna feel like, damn, like I promised to take care of them. You're gonna feel like, you're gonna just feel like a lot of different things. Okay. You're gonna feel like at some point you can't be yourself. Okay. Because that's what it gives. That you're gonna feel like you can't be yourself. So having a bin had, it can definitely like be a very, very beautiful thing. It definitely can. Um Going through life with someone who is experienced, um, in my opinion, I feel like it just makes it a lot easier. Okay. It makes it a smoother transition, right? It makes the mindset more open to more life. Okay. A lot of people who haven't been through things, when they go through things, not only do they not know how to go through things, but half of the time they be feeling like, damn, this is life for real. This is really life. They feeling like they're going through the worst of the worst things because they've never been through anything. I do think that, I don't know, like I feel like, I don't know, I feel like to a certain extent, when you are inexperienced, I feel like you have to go through that little transition of getting experience on your own. Like, I don't know if that's necessarily something that you should go through with somebody else. Call me crazy, call me whatever, agree or disagree. It is what it is. However, I do feel like that is something that you should be going through on your own. I feel like going through things, being inexperienced, is more appreciated once you get through it, right? Because you're gonna get through it. Like, you're gonna not get through it. You're gonna get through it. So I think that is more appreciated. I think that is more potent. I think that is more real. I think that you have a lot more to bring to the table once you do become one with someone, from going through experiences on your own, right? I think that um you, even though you will be going through it, you won't be going through it as hard, if that makes sense. Like, you're not going to be going through it as hard, like, because it's just you. It's just you. I feel like if you go through something with somebody that you are inexperienced, right, but they're more experienced or whatever the case is, I feel like you're not really going to be able to relate as to why you're going through it so hard, right? If it ever got that hard, like you're not going to be able to really relate because you're going to feel like, oh, I'm with somebody. Like, why am I going through this? Like, why do we have to go through this? Not understanding that you're still an individual in a whole relationship. Okay. Yeah, y'all going through it together, right? And yes, it seemingly shouldn't be that hard, but that's not everybody's lifestyle. Like shit could get real fast. Okay. For the both of y'all. Not just for one, for the both of y'all. So having to deal with it with someone, and if you're an inexperienced person, you may just feel like, why? Why? And that's a real thing. People do be feeling like that. Okay. It be the entitlement of it all, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, like people do be feeling like that. Okay. So yeah. Um mm. So for me, right? Because my question for tonight was going to be what is a Ben had to you? I think I just basically said everything that a Ben had is or whatever the case is, but a Ben had is someone who knows how to manage through experience. Period. Like we're not even gonna complicate it. That's what it is. A Ben had is someone who knows how to manage through experience. Okay. A Ben had is I don't know. For me, like a Ben hat is everything. Like for me, a Ben hat is everything. Like for real. But that's preference. It goes back to preference. It goes back to what you want, you know what it is or whatever. I'm not a person that's trying to. I'm a person that I'm. I am a person that knows that I am just experiencing people. Right. Period. I know that I'm here to experience, right? If I ever decide to intertwine with people, I know that I am experiencing them, right? So I also know that in experiencing people, like people are gonna people. Okay. So a Ben had for me, if you know how to manage yourself, if you know how to um stay happy and joyful, right? Because you know that life is gonna life. If you know how to understand that you are experiencing me, right? If you know how to just handle your shit, like just handle. Like if you know how to do that, then you have been had. You have been had. Granted, to understand how to do that, you would have had to experience some things. You would have had to live life. You would have had to understand what life is. You would have had to just make it do what it do. That's what a Ben Hat is. If anybody don't really know what a Ben Hat is, if you don't know if you're a Ben Hat or whatever the case may be, you might just be. I don't know if there's more Ben Hats than not though, because some of y'all Ben Hats be trying to still act like y'all inexperienced, and it just gets weird. Um, I gave y'all all the reasons why it's a good thing or a bad thing, right? When you're living for your longevity, you want a partner who is going to balance you out. You want a partner that you can be a friend with. You want a partner who understands life as a team and as an individual. Okay. Because it got to be like a little underlining thing going on where it's like, all right, well, we a team today, but listen, this is the problem that we have right now. And we both know and agree that we got to do this individually. Okay. It's like the saying, like sometimes it takes a woman to do a man's job. It's like, yeah, but we have to kind of like know that, like as a team, we got to know when it's time to like someone got to take the lead, someone got to fall back. This is something that we got to do together. being in a relationship and being individuals at the same time. Um, you have to, you got to know that this is for the long haul. Like, you just have to know that this is for the long haul. So you have to operate in that space, right? And it has to be both, but you have to operate in that space. You have to operate in a space that we know that this is for the long haul, and that that's what's going to make it a good or bad thing when it comes to having someone experienced. When it comes to having someone inexperienced, okay, because I'm gonna be fair. So when we talk about experience, we're gonna have to talk about someone who's inexperienced. When it comes to someone being inexperienced, hold on a minute. When it comes to someone being inexperienced, good or bad thing, the good part about someone being, we can do a little good. The good part about someone being inexperienced, right, when it comes to inexperienced people, is that if they are willing to learn, it's a great thing, right? I'm not going to forget to mention that, because that's a big thing. Like, when I talk to people and they talk about dating inexperienced people, or they talk about dating younger people or whatever, they always and never forget to mention the fact that it's so easier to teach them, right? However, that is a good, no, that is a good thing. I do agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that up until the point where, don't try to manipulate me, because it's a fine line between manipulation and teaching someone. A lot of the times when you're in relationships, people don't want to even teach their partner anything. Okay, they want to tell them what to do. So that is the fine line right there, and that's where I agree and I disagree. Right there where that fine line ends, right there, that little, that's where I agree and disagree. So the good part about being an inexperienced partner, right, or wanting to intentionally date an inexperienced partner, is the fact that you can teach them a lot, because they're willing to learn. Like, they're not so stuck in their ways. Those are the ones that are willing to learn. All of them ain't like that. Okay, a lot of inexperienced people is very, very, very much entitled and very, very, very much in they self. Okay, so all of them are not like that, and I just want to make that clear. Okay, age has nothing to do with it. Inexperience has nothing to do with it. But if you are willing to learn, and you are willing to receive, and you are willing to reciprocate, all of those things, okay, that is a great thing. And that means that if you learn fast, you got time, baby. You got time on time on time. Okay? So, period. The bad thing about being inexperienced is this, when you the opposite of all of that. Like, you young, you don't want to learn, you don't want to receive, you're super entitled, you I don't know, like, you don't clean yourself good. I don't know. Like, it's just a lot. Like, it's just a lot. You know what I'm saying? So with inexperienced people, you have a lot going on. You have a lot of difficulty, and it definitely is going to cause you a lot of problems. It's going to set you back. Okay? It's just going to set you back. A lot of the times people put up with those type of individuals because they're not really looking for a long-term relationship. Like, they're not really looking for something that they can gain from. Okay, a lot of people date people who are inexperienced because they think that they got it all in the bag. They feel like themselves alone is an experience, period. They got it, they can get it, they're okay with just being with someone that just wants to be, that doesn't really add any substance or value or volume to the situation, or whatever the case is, and they date a lot of inexperienced individuals, and they're cool with that, you know. But the reality of it is, you're setting yourself back, because if you're not growing, or if you're not growing in the space that you're supposed to be in, if you're not growing in the space that in a certain time frame of the space that you already know and see the vision that you're in, then you're drowning and they are setting you back. And it's because they're inexperienced. It's because of that. The individuals who want to date people that we're gonna change the category a little bit, right? We're gonna change it to like sex. Okay. The individuals who want to date people who have less bodies, right? I could be wrong. I don't know. But I feel that they equate that with um experience, right? So it's kind of like, damn, like the more guys that you had, the more guys you slept with, or whatever the case may be, or the more girls you slept with, or whatever, the more experienced you should be, right? That's what they would equate that to, like your experience, because you dated and you slept around and this, that, and the third, or whatever the case may be. Mm. That is totally wrong. That is totally wrong. That is totally out of line. That is inaccurate. So I don't know what term is just wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. Okay. And I just have to put that out there because that's a real thing. Like people really do equate that category of experience with the whole experience. And I just want to let you guys know that that is not what it is at all. So if you go out and you try to go get a little young tenderoni thing, or somebody that you think only slept with one or two people, whatever the case may be, because you feel like, they're a little bit inexperienced, that does not mean a goddamn thing. That does not mean that they're inexperienced. It's the opposite effect of what I just said. That does not mean that they're inexperienced. They're just inexperienced in certain categories, but that does not mean that they're inexperienced. So, my experience, like when we're younger and we date, as opposed to when we're older and we date, you can see the difference when it comes to the level of dating. Like, right? Like the conversations, the everything, just like the motion and how everything works, or whatever case maybe, when it comes to being younger and dating and older and dating, right? And from right then and there, you can see exactly what I'm saying about being more seasoned, being a more beneficial thing than being less seasoned. Okay. When we're younger and we're dating, we are just running through dating. Like we're running through dating. Like we're not really putting no real emphasis on it. I don't care. Even if you're in a relationship, even if you were in a relationship from high school, even if you were in this, even if you were in that, or whatever the case may be, you're literally like, you're running through the years. Okay. There's no real substance in dating when you're young and dating. Okay. It is love. Yes. It is sex. It is, like fun times. It's like, oh, I have someone I can call on, or whatever. It's all of those things. But there's no real substance, right? There's no real building. There's no real growth. There's no real genre. There's no real to it, as opposed to when you older and dating. Okay. The dating form is experience or inexperience, right? The been had or the not been had. Okay. When we are older and we're dating, right? We're looking for commitment. We're looking to grow. We are eager to grow, right? We feel like we have to grow. Like, so it's like, I'm not even fucking with you if you're not trying to grow. Like, I'm not even dealing with you if you're not trying to be on this type of time. I'm not dealing with you if you're not trying to be on that type of time. Oh, you did this. Like, I'm getting rid of you. Like, we are so in a space where it's about growth. It's about elevation. It's about commitment. It's about compatibility. It's about What is going on? What are we doing? Hey, what's going on? What's going on? We are on talking about the Ben has versus the inexperienced individuals. Let me write that in real quick. Ben has. My co-star for the night, I don't know, I guess he's having a little difficulties, but he didn't come on tonight. Ben has is the topic. So, write in the comment section if you guys are engaging on tonight in the conversation. Ben has. Ben has versus, let me write versus inexperienced people. And what you think? So yeah. So that right there alone, when it comes to like your elevation of dating, right? You dating younger versus older, not people. I'm talking about you dating in your younger years versus you dating in your older years. That's an elevation in itself. It just shows the what's beneficial, what feels better, what kind of looks better when it comes to your dating stages when you were younger as opposed to your dating stages when you're older, right? Even though in the dating stages of when we're older, we find it to be a little harder, we find it to be a little bit more difficult and things of that nature, we are still, it's still seasoned and it still feels better. Like when it actually does come together, it feels better. I don't know about everybody else, but I can speak for myself. Me dating as opposed to when I was younger, as opposed to when I'm older or now, whatever the case may be, it just feels better, right? It feels more confident. It feels more discerning. It feels more right. Okay? It feels more right. A lot of the times I be telling people like, yo, I just feel like I was just running through my life when I was younger. Like a lot of things I don't even remember. Y'all be remembering everything, but I don't be remembering a lot. And I feel like it's like that because of me being just not having true substance. Yeah, so that's basically what that is. Now, I was like 12 when I started like messing around with boys, right? I was like 12 years old or whatever case may be. And I had no business doing that. I had no business like dating or, intertwining with like boys at 12 years old. Like, what is the substance in that? What's the substance in that? What is the substance in that? There is none. Okay. That is me jumping right off the porch. No experience. Don't know what I want. Don't know what I'm looking for. Just doing what I see everybody else doing. And I'm doing what I see people that are like 10 years older than me doing, right? Like, oh, the flirting and the kissing, being fresh. Exactly. Being fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, and it's the same. It's the same. It's the same when you're in your 20s. I'm not saying you shouldn't be dating in your 20s. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be dating in your 20s or your teenage years or whatever the case may be. But what I am saying is that when you're dating younger, you are inexperienced. You don't really know what to look for. You don't really know what you have. You don't really know who you are. You don't really know what you don't know. You just don't know. Okay. So imagine dating someone. Imagine someone who is experienced wanting to date someone who is inexperienced. Imagine someone who is inexperienced dating someone who is inexperienced. The blind leading the blind. And I'm talking inexperienced because We got this thing when it comes to the bin head, like it's a bad thing. Like you washed up if you a bin head. Like you ain't got it going on if you a bin head. Like if you ain't got no substance to you if you a bin head. When it's like, baby, hmm, who, how, and why not? Drop the mic live mic is soon to be talk show. Let me just put that out there. But Drop the Mic Live Mic is a podcast, right? It is a podcast and it is a platform that helps people to understand who they are. Period, point blank, right? Reason why I'm saying is because not only, I'm not like a relationship based platform. I like to understand people's mental health. I like to understand the mentality of what people are thinking, right? And I like to do it through conversations such as this. Like I like to do broad conversations. I like to do conversations about relationships. I like to do conversations about strictly mental health. I like to do conversations about wordplay, whatever it may be. I like to study the mental health and the mental stability through several conversations on this platform. Okay. So I say that to say I don't want you to get confused by the whole necessarily the Ben had topic versus the inexperienced people. Okay. But I do want you to understand that it is a mentality when it comes to being experienced and when it comes to being inexperienced. Okay. And it's not neither a bad nor a good thing when it comes to being either one, right? It is really a preference. It is really a lifestyle. It is really a mentality, right? It is really a stability. Okay. I know a lot of people would say, like, oh, well, you have to go through the inexperience to get to the experience part, right? Which is absolutely true. Okay. But a lot of the times people like to cling to other people and they skip the steps. Or a lot of the times people like to take the other people, right? And not teach them enough to where they're still skipping the steps. The point is, we don't want to skip the steps. Okay. If you are a binhead, if you are someone who has experienced life, if you are someone who is still experiencing life, if you are someone who's been married before, if you are someone who's had several sexual partners before, if you're someone who has had a condo, a house, property, whatever it may be, like been had a business, been broke, lost it all, like gained it all back. If you someone who now knows how to speak to your man before you didn't, if you're someone who came up out of that abusive relationship, if you're someone who like uh dated a woman, was in love, got your heart broken, and now you know how to handle a woman, like if you're someone who been through all of those things and you've come out of those things, you've been in those things again, and you've come out of those things again, like how are you not great? You got the mentality and the mindset and the stability of the mental for two people, maybe three. But there's no way in the world that you should be looked at any different. Is no way in the world that you should be looked at as a woman who is trying to feminize a man, right? Because, like I said in the beginning, that was what was said. Feminize a man. There's no way in the world that you should have question yourself about anything, a lack of, like, that's like saying you questioning your wisdom. Like, I ain't asked for this, I just lived. There's no way in the world that you should um really even question yourself for real. If you are inexperienced, there's a mentality with that as well. Okay. You have to accept you when you're inexperienced, you should accept the fact that you're inexperienced. Like you have to accept that too. Okay. A lot of you inexperienced people like to not accept the fact that you're inexperienced, which is just weird. Okay. But then you deal with people that you know are experienced, right? And because you're not willing to understand that you're inexperienced, you skip the steps and you also get abused. You get abused mentally, you get abused financially, you get abused sexually, you get abused um in every form of abuse that's possible. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying that it is a possibility that you will. Okay? Because you are not willing to learn, you are not understanding that inexperience is a mindset as well. Okay? You're taking on the fact that you're inexperienced, but you're not fully taking on the responsibilities to gain the qualities to become experienced from inexperience. We don't want to be inexperienced our whole entire lives. Like we don't want to do that, right? We want to grow. That's the goal. So when you skip those steps is when it becomes a problem. Now you're growing in age, you're growing in flesh, you're growing in things that you are forced to grow in, right? But you're not growing in your experience. You're not growing in your mentality. You're not growing in the shift of your mental state, which can cause a mental illness. You become very dependent and so on and so forth. It could just get crazy. But I want to elaborate and I want to really get, the listeners out there to really understand that it's just a mentality. Like everything is a mentality. Everything is about the way that you think. Everything is about the way that you process who you are, what you are in a space that you're in. Everything is and can be manipulated. Okay. Manipulation, the word manipulation and manipulation is not necessarily like a real bad thing or whatever case may be. It just depends on who's doing it and how they're doing it and the reasons why they're doing it, right? And people all the time, often and not, turn manipulation into a bad thing. But I'm here to tell you the ways that you don't have to. Like you don't have to be manipulated in a bad way. Okay? And if you decide, this is water, y'all. And if you decide to date a more experienced person, my recommendations is for you to become a more experienced person. Right? Take your time. Take your time and become a more experienced person so you can date in your caliber. Dating in your caliber is so important. That's a whole nother drop the mic live mic. Dating in your caliber is so important. Okay? And it's so preventative. We don't think about that kind of stuff when we date, and we don't think about what's preventative and what's not. But it's so preventative, it's so important, it's so imperative to date in your caliber. And dating in your caliber is experience on experience, inexperience on experience, or inexperience on inexperience, and so on and so forth. Okay? Not one time on here did I say that it will not work, because it can and it will. But you just have to know how to make things work. You have to know what matches what in the season that you're in. Okay, and the little trinkets of things that it goes with. But y'all going at the end of the day, y'all going to stop trying to play the Ben has. Okay? Now, I think I went over like all the recommendations. Like at the end of Drop the Mic, like I like to do like recommendations and stuff like that, or like solution based comments. So if there's anybody in the comment section that has something to say, this is your time to say it. Yes, yes, Shy Henry, I was being fresh, dated so young, that's for sure. Oh, hey cuz. Yeah, I definitely was. And it's okay because I had to learn the hard way. Like I had to learn the hard way. And people feel like they got to learn the hard way all the time, but really they don't. Like you just have to go through some stuff, but you don't necessarily always have to learn the hard way. Like there's some real hardship out there that we don't have to go through, and then it's just life in. Okay. But when life get the life in and we just get to thinking that we know everything, we be going through the real hardship that we don't have to go through. We really don't. Um, yeah. My recommendation for this, guys, like I said, throughout the show, is for you guys to be very open-minded when it comes to experience in general. Understand that we are here to experience people, places, and things. Understand that it is a time and a place for everything, right? We don't have to rush. We don't have to um, skip the steps. I'm big on when it comes to skipping the steps. As much as we want what we want, we also have to understand that there's a higher power that wants something more for us. Okay. And in the way that they want it. Right. Um, so don't skip the steps. Like it's just not smart. Like I keep emphasizing on that because that's like a real thing. Like I watch people all the time and I see different things, different relationships, friendships, whatever it may be, all type of different kinds of relationships, right? In general. And a lot of people skip the steps. Okay. Along with not wanting to do the work, but a lot of people skip the steps. And that's like the most affectionate thing that you can do when it comes to being experienced and being inexperienced. I can't necessarily speak for the men because I'm not a man. But what I will say is that from what I see, a lot of men at a certain point in their lives do realize and understand that they would prefer to be with someone who is seasoned. Um, when you feel like you have someone in your corner, like that you want to be like your ride or die, right? Or your rider, or whatever the case may be. A rider is someone who knows how to stay on a goddamn wheel. They know how to stay on the wheel when that shit is getting rough. That ride is getting rough. That ride is turning heads. That ride is turning circles and all kind of stuff. A rider is someone who knows how to stay on that ride. Okay, they know how to manage. So somebody just coming off the porch ain't gonna just know how to ride a bike if they wasn't never taught, or if they're not willing to be taught. So I'm just gonna leave that there. I hope you guys do understand what the show was about, right? Mental health is very important. Drop the mic, live mic is very important to me. Um, what is that? Somebody fire alarm is going off. I'm sorry, y'all. But we gonna end this drop the mic, live mic, because I don't know what that is. I don't think that's my fire alarm, but that's somebody's fire alarm. And I will holler at you guys really, really soon. Peace. See you the following Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.